Absolutely. I've been holding off on so many videos because
You were waiting for this moment. Welcome, everybody. We should be live to the returning Average Intelligence podcast. I'm going to let you guys in on a couple changes, but first, we're going to get into the meat of the matter, which is I fucking told y'all for 2 years I've been telling you, but
I've been telling y'all
I've been
and
telling
telling
y'all,
y'all.
but some of y'all weren't listening.
No,
So,
most of y'all weren't listening.
so what's particularly funny about this
Hold on, let me check your
moment?
audio for you real quick. Yep, your audio's all good, just so you know.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you. Yeah,
Hey man,
it happens.
I gotcha. I got you. You check those, gotta check those levels
It
right out the
happens.
gate. I have
So
to teach
so
Haley that.
I want to preface what I'm about to say, which I don't consider myself to be like a super smart person. I think I'm reasonably intelligent.
I do, Jake. I think you're quite a smart person.
I often say things.
Smarter than me, I think, anyway.
Oh, I would no. I'm a fucking idiot. But I host a podcast with a chimpanzee in a suit. But the reason I lead with that is because I have an expression that I often say when I'm surrounded by fucking morons, and is that I can figure it out, and I'm not that goddamn smart.
I always just blanketly assume everyone is as at least as smart as me, and Jordan always says that's a mistake.
It is, but not for the reason you think. But we can circle back around to that because you know what happens when you assume, just.
I mean, yes, he often says the same thing. See, I don't mind joining here because I also consider myself to be of average intelligence. So,
Right. So, but
hey,
here's
it could be a misnomer, you know. A
well, it's a title with layers. It's like an ogre
couple fucking geniuses over here. Yeah, parfaits. Gotta love those parfaits.
who hosts a podcast where we put on Star Trek costumes and talk about a science fiction show from the 1960s. Anywho, that will come up later. I preface this by saying that for those of you who followed this show, and for some of you, this may be a welcome return to form because we're talking politics again, which is kind of the show's not blanket a political show, but it kind of started as a political show. So going all the way back to the 2024 primary, which actually I believe the first time this came up was in 2023, but certainly by 2024, this idea had come up. And the first time I'd heard it, I'm aware now that this is a much older idea, but the first time I'd heard this logic regarding the 14th Amendment was from Vivek Ramaswamy when we were doing our live reaction to that particular primary debate. And I said at that time, you can go back and watch it, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Yeah,
And I
yeah, it was.
explained why, which believe me, I will again reiterate why. The reason I bring this up though is because I didn't read the entire decision because it's fucking long.
It's
Um,
so long.
but but I got the gist of it, and the gist I got was not too far off from the logic that I was using because words.
I mean, it was a little closer than it probably should have been. I know that Thomas Massey certainly had his say about it, but yeah,
I
there's been a lot of really
I'm not gonna lie, I was actually surprised it wasn't a 5-4 split decision. It was a 6-3.
something like that. Yeah, the one the
Well, I
well
guess
he like
Kavanaugh kind of like sat on his hands for this one. From what I understand, he didn't really vote yay or nay, so I guess it was more like a
well, it
I guess
kind
it
of
was
went. I
more
think
like
it
a
kind
five
of
three.
I think so. It kind of went seemed to have gone in direction of let Congress figure it out, which means it's never going to happen. So
Well,
they all just kind of went, it's never going to happen. We need to look reasonable and sane. I saw someone make that assessment about this session, whereas they needed to appear reasonable and sane.
I mean, and that's fair. But here's the thing: what I want to do, and we'll touch on some other political things because I know you've been chomping at the bit to talk about some other stuff. But I want to walk everybody through the reasons why, and for 2 years I've been saying the same thing in regards to birthright citizenship in terms of how the law is written and both what I personally believe. And the thing is, I have arguments for both. So let's just start, for those who don't know, in case you've been living under a rock for the past decade. The 14th Amendment is the, actually, you know what? I'm going to, for the benefit of all,
You can actually read the
I have to
14th
grab my
Amendment.
Constitution.
Of course, Jake has a constitution just ready to go. It's pretty on brand for Jake. Yeah, no, yeah. That sounds about right. I was just saying that, of course, you have just a copy of the Constitution ready to go.
I actually have two. I have my pocket
Excellent.
Constitution, and then I have a bigger one that's hardbound. It has the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence.
How
And
libertarian of you.
no, I got this from the ACLU. They were a couple years ago.
Just,
they were giving them out for free. So okay, let's find. 14th Amendment verbatim says, and this is actually Amendment 14, Article 1, which is what we're talking about here, because it's longer, but we're talking about Article 1. All persons born or naturalized in the United States, for those who don't know, naturalized just means you've been made a citizen under the law. Mm-hmm. So all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, put a pin in that, we're going to come back to that later, because that's kind of the crux of both sides of this argument, except one side's right and one side doesn't know what jurisdiction means, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within the jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Now, Justin, you're a reasonably intelligent person. What is a layman definition for jurisdiction?
Well, jurisdiction, I mean, in order for a person to be able to be kicked out or denied a right, they would have to be in the jurisdiction of. So you can't be like they're in the jurisdiction of it and then deny them inalienable rights.
Basically, so the layman's basic definition of jurisdiction would basically amount to subject to the laws of a certain area.
Yep. It can't be illegal if they're not subject to the laws.
So it's funny. That was my first argument. I'm like, so if they're not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, then they've not committed a crime that can be prosecuted under the law. Therefore, you can't arrest them for being in the country illegally or anything else.
See, I can't stand hypocrites. I think I've made that evidently clear in all my time on this show. I cannot stand hypocrites. So like, Donald Trump's children all have citizenship because of the 14th Amendment. Or certainly...
Well, technically, that's one of the many ways in which they have citizenship because, hang on, we'll remember...
Didn't Melania get like the Einstein grant or something?
Something, but she was in the country legally, so... So this is what colloquially is known as the law of the soil. Meaning you were born on the soil, you are therefore... a citizen, barring two very important asterisks, which are defined not in the Constitution itself, but in subsequent writings and Supreme Court opinions, namely emphasized in the case of Wong Kim Ark, which is kind of the biggest case precedent over the last 100 or so years, and we'll get there. The other one is the law of blood, which means if your parents are U.S. or a parent is a U.S. citizen, you are a U.S. citizen by blood.
Isn't Donald Trump's grandpa though like an immigrant? Wasn't his grandpa from Germany? Trump?
I'm sure at one point or another. Now he may have been naturalized through Ellis Island or what have you, but
fair enough.
And here's the thing. I am not going to strawman the losing side of this because they make points that are not. I'm not. Certain points are correct, but the biggest part I don't like about the people that were trying to reinterpret the 14th Amendment is the spirit in which they were doing it. Because here's the thing, I will grant them, birth tourism is a thing.
It is a thing. I hate saying that because it makes it sound like I agree with them, but it is a thing.
It's a substantially smaller thing than they would have you believe. Because I looked up the numbers, and the thing is, I'm not giving you hard numbers because it's impossible to actually know,
Yeah.
but from what I understand, from based upon my research, the number of immigration cases that would be subject to the 14th Amendment reinterpretation as they were arguing is about 300,000 cases a year, which in a country of
It's
330 million
it's
people,
not great, but like it's
well,
not great, but it's,
but of those cases, only about 200,000 generously could even remotely qualify under the idea of birth tourism. And intentional birth tourism is probably substantially lower than that. Meaning, so in those numbers, you might have a case of someone who's here on, say, like a student visa or a temporary work visa or something that is pregnant and gives birth.
yeah, yeah,
So they are here in the country legally,
yeah,
just temporarily, and
yeah.
there's no law saying that if you're not a permanent resident, you can't get pregnant because that would be. I don't even want to get into the unconstitutionality of that mess.
Right. That's what I hate to say it, but that's what your government wants to do. They want to restrict pregnant people from coming into your country. At least that's one of the stories I heard that they were trying to do.
Well, and okay, so here's the thing. I would want to see the law. I don't. If your goal is to cut down on birth tourism insofar as the intentional act of entering the United States for the
How'd you
purposes
prove
of,
that?
again, it's real. That's why I would want to see the law. So like, I'm not even gonna, because this is not a priority for me. I would want to see the law, but I suppose in a vacuum, if you could show me a piece of legislation that said something to the effect of like, you know, in entering the United States on any sort of immigration type, whether that be tourism, student, or anything like that, you're not automatically barred if you're pregnant, but it brings up some caveats, for example. So, like, for example, I could see a law in place where, among other protections being put in place, where, like, if you cannot prove the reason you need to be in the United States right now while you are pregnant, I could see maybe a travel restriction maybe being put in place. I don't like that. But if, again, this is not a problem in my eyes because, like, yeah, it happens. But in the scheme
Yeah.
of things, is this really what we need to be?
I just
I mean,
my thing is like they're like we stop all pregnant people, and even if you're coming, because they're like people come here on vacation and they pop out a kid, and I
no, they
saw a lot
don't.
of
Who goes on
really.
vacation when they're 9 months
Well,
pregnant?
I just did. I saw a bunch of people like, yeah, of course, a pregnant woman's like 9 months pregnant. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna run to the American border, squat, pop out a kid, bang, American citizen. No, that's not how the real world works. Like that's the
Well, okay,
thing
but
is like
let's look at this Let's look at this hypothetical situation where that in
you want
fact
to talk about
happens.
straw man.
Only the child is an American citizen. The term "acre baby" is just so ridiculous because it's not in terms of the law as written. Now we're not talking enforcement because I said on numerous occasions the Biden administration is not enforcing immigration law or policy, and I blame them as much, if not more, than the Trump administration for what's going on in immigration currently. Because I'm sorry to say, but when you just say, fuck it, we're not going to enforce this shit, you're just as bad, if not worse, as the people that are hardcore enforcing it, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, one could be argued it's an overcorrection of the other. That
It's absolutely an overcorrection.
Biden overcorrected from Trump and then Trump re-overcorrected from Biden. That's certainly an argument that to be made. I'm I have not that I have strong opinions on immigration. It's just one of those things where like it was seeing Fourth of July happen always amuses me because like I just don't feel that for Canada. Like I do in like an ironic it's fun to make fun of it kind of way, but like and like if you're in a crowd of people and you're all cheering for your soccer team or whatever, like that's different. But like yeah, just in a day-to-day basis, I'm just kind of like I don't really feel loyal to rocks. But that I recognize not everyone feels that way, and I'm not gonna like that's one of those things where I'm not trying to convince you to come to my side of things, because I recognize not everyone is like that. But that's just me.
Well, so here's the thing about me is like I do have a huge sense of pride in the United States as a country, but it's mostly this because
Fair enough.
I
You're like nailed it.
because this right here, this is why I love my country. It's funny because my stepson has asked me a couple of times. He's like, "What's the greatest country in the world?" And I say the United States. And but I can tell you why, not just because I'm from there, brother. It's like
Fair
there's
enough.
tons of great countries. No country in the world that I'm aware of has the same type of freedom, and it gets into a real minutia. But like our freedom of speech is a little bit different. I don't know why I lapsed into Trump. It's a little different.
It's a little different.
It's a little different insofar as this presupposes that all these rights are yours. They don't come
Yeah.
from the government. These are not granted rights. These are yours. And it goes so far as to say if it's not written down in here, it's just assumed that you have the right.
Yeah. 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 I not to plug your own podcast on your podcast, but I was watching. I didn't get to tune in for the whole thing, but I did watch quite a bit of you talk to the Oracle on the Arte Media podcast, and it's funny how I would word how I think of what his thought process is. I often don't agree with his conclusions, but I quite often agree with how he got to his conclusions, and
It's the I said the same thing to him. Like it's
yeah.
so weird because you'll say something and I now know better. I'm gonna let you finish
Yeah,
because
yeah, no, no, let him. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
initially I'm like I don't know about that, and then it's like even if I don't agree with you, I can understand why
Yeah,
you
I'm always like,
knowing
let the man cook. Let the man cook.
knowing
He's.
knowing what I know about you, I can see at least. Oh, Colombia lost.
Oh, the World Cup.
Yeah.
Oh,
Damn you, Switzerland.
that's funny. Speaking of the World Cup,
I can't say a bad thing about Switzerland. I can appreciate a country that is neutral stubbornly.
that is fair. Yeah, almost obstinately, yeah, neutral.
It's like
But
I can appreciate a country that's like, no, we really don't want to stop doing our banking and our chocolate and our
right,
stuff.
right. Don't come here. We'll look the other way.
We're gonna speak
Um,
German, French, and English. Suck it.
fuck you, right? We have the sweet ass knife. Um, no, he said I don't disagree that America, it's hard to be like I hate America when I so thoroughly love your pop culture. So like we don't have our own pop. We do kinda like there are Canadian shows,
I mean,
but they're
that's that.
just
I was
like
gonna say no. There's.
intrinsically cheaper versions of you want to know Canadian football, Jake. I'm just saying. It's football, but it's Canadian. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like
but Canada gave us Degrassi.
oh, I did give us Degrassi, and it's also apologized for Brian Adams on many occasions.
Yeah, so I mean, if nothing else, it's made right. And there is
Right,
something to
right.
be said for the country that originated the Canadian orgasm and is just so obstinately polite and apologetic.
I think we can be, but we can also be incredibly backhanded. That's a
Oh,
nice shirt you're
Justin.
wearing. No, I'm totally kidding.
Oh,
I'm totally
oh,
kidding.
Justin, it's not about that. It's about dignity. It's
It's
about
about
respect.
dignity. It's about respect. It's about dignity. Fuck you. Terrence Phillip would not be released.
Oh
Then the
God.
the 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 14th Amendment thing. It's funny because when you asked me to do this a couple weeks, I was like, oh man, I've got so much material on this 14th Amendment thing. Because like the funniest part, you know me, I'm borderline the Joker in that there's not the killing or murder part, but the world is unintentionally funny. And watching right wing guys throw temper tantrums on the internet is always funny. Like
I
it's
just
just
I
it's
just
just always funny.
I just wish I could have seen one of them come up with an original thought, but all of them that I've seen are saying the same stuff, including Ben Shapiro, who, when it comes to right wing people, I respect him the most because at least sometimes he detracts from the crowd. But on this one, he's right in line with everything. And I'm just like, Ben, you're smarter than this, dude. Like,
the one
you went
the,
to law school.
the one who gets me. I mean, okay, it's hard not
You
to laugh at
passed the
Matt.
bar, Ben.
He
You
did.
passed.
He
You
did.
were a
Beautiful.
lawyer. Then you said, fuck it, because it was the worst job ever, according to what you said. But like, you
He
know
at
what
least feels smarter than
jurisdiction
me.
you know what jurisdiction means. Why are we one thing the right does that I cannot fucking stand is selective definitions depending on the situation.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, I'll hit you with this one. Was George Floyd committing a crime?
I didn't pay nearly enough attention to what
That's a
he
rhetorical
specifically
question.
did, but like, oh, okay, was it because I was like, honestly, I don't feel like any person should be blanketly executed in the street, but like, if you're gonna be like he did something wrong, I'm gonna be like, I don't know what that man did wrong. I just know he probably shouldn't have been
There
summarily
was a
executed in the street.
counterfeit bill involved.
Was there? Yeah,
Yeah.
I no, I've seen too many people try to. Yeah, I've seen
Well, and
Matt Walsh
actually,
try to
I'm gonna
guy.
asterisk that there was an alleged counterfeit bill because I don't know, I don't remember. It's been a long time. I don't remember if it was determined that it was counterfeited or it was thought that it was counterfeited, and he's like, "Fuck you, I'm leaving." I don't remember, but
Yeah, I'm
allegedly
just
there
not.
was a counterfeit bill involved.
I don't love. I'm not. I'm a pretty anti-death penalty person. I don't believe in God, but I just don't believe it's an inherent right of mine to decide who gets to live or die. It's just not a thing. So like for me, hey man, if anyone can make an argument against it, but I just that's just for me my personal thing. Um, but yeah, hit with any of those cop killed it. Yeah, I'm just always like I don't know. I'm just not cool with anyone executing anyone in the street. It's just not my to quote Austin Powers, not my bag.
I'm gonna take issue with execute. Um, not you know what? No, that's I'm not gonna get into the George Floyd thing. That's a rabbit hole I'm gonna not dig into
Yeah,
in this one. We're talking about something different. Um, Suffice it to say that both sides in that have a narrative, and neither one is
yes.
completely right.
No,
So, like
never
most
though.
things.
There's always the this side, and then what's correct in the middle. Is always how I
Well,
find it.
and fair enough. So that actually I can pivot back to the 14th Amendment. So the biggest point I think the right has in this is that the spirit of the 14th Amendment and the reason it was written in the first place, at least that part, well, no, actually, the whole reason it was written was to ensure equal protection under the law and the benefits of citizenship to newly freed black slaves at the end of the Civil War going into Reconstruction.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
That's
yes.
why it was written. And here's the thing. They are right when they say that, but what's the goal of bringing that up? Because I do understand.
Right.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? If we're going to parse out word by word of the Constitution, are we going to do the same thing with the Second Amendment that y'all love?
That's absolutely accurate. And this is my constant point to it's the thing it's the same thing whenever I see someone try to dunk on the Bible, where I'm like, guys, no, obviously they didn't think of how this would be applied to modern day immigration laws and situations and contexts.
They couldn't have
So
had
to
any idea.
right, so to be like for Donald Trump or any of them to be like this is not what they intended. Well, obviously not. They were all probably pocket racists. So like obviously not.
Well,
Obviously they didn't.
actually, well,
So most of them
sorry.
were probably pocket racists.
No, the Republican Party at that time was actually kind of vehemently abolitionist. They
See, I've
really.
watched a lot of really good videos about Abe Lincoln that were
Yeah.
like he wasn't so much anti-slave as he was pro-America.
Oh,
Uh,
by the way, speaking of Abe Lincoln and racism, wait till we get to that episode of Star Trek.
oh boy, love it.
That
Uh,
you're gonna lose. You're not gonna lose your mind as much as speaking of the Declaration of Independence, but you will lose your mind.
that's it's excellent. I mean, that's excellent. I figured as much. I saw a clip of it. I think Virus sent it to me once, and I was like, "What the?
Probably.
I need to know the." I think it was maybe last Fourth of July, maybe. But yeah, he sent it to me randomly once, and I was like,
Yeah.
"I need to
Oh,
know the
we're
context of this."
we're gonna have. There's two episodes that I can think of that are just they tackle racism in, shall we say, some very interesting ways.
Um,
Coming up in
but
season three.
yeah, the guy that in regards to your 14th Amendment, I mean, it's easy to make fun of lumberjack cosplayer Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh gets me because he always seems smarter than me, and then I remember we have the same education level. Like he graduated high school, never took a class in college. In fact, I probably have more education than him because I at least took 2 years worth of university. So I am technically college educated. So I am theoretically smarter than Matt Walsh. But like he always says things with such authority that it makes it sound legit. My favorite thing he's doing right now is his fake history lessons, which are all funny.
Oh
Um,
God, don't get me started on those.
but the one that gets me every time is Steven Crowder. he gets me every time because he says the most. You talked about him on the Arte podcast, and he says such unintentionally funny things. Like when he's trying to be funny, it's rarely funny, but when he's not trying to be funny, it's he's at his most hilarious. Like he was like, "Oh, it turns out that you're some Somali kid guy can come here and get citizenship because of the 14th Amendment or something." And he has dual citizenship.
Yeah, he's
He
Canadian.
has dual citizenship.
Now,
And the
now,
best
now,
part is
to be fair, he was naturalized. So I'm just
he
putting it out there.
claims he was naturalized. But here's the thing about him is he never says he denounces his Canadian
No,
citizenship.
you don't have to.
He very specifically says, I renounced my Canadian citizenship. So he hasn't given up his Canadian citizenship. He still has Canadian citizenship, even though he says he doesn't. But
Oh, well,
he
yeah, but I
he
imagine he wants to be able to travel.
well to Canada because he's got family in Montreal.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm just saying that's
It's
that.
it's
Which, by the way,
very funny.
whoever's spamming the hearts, I appreciate it.
It's just very funny because he has correct me if I'm wrong on this because I'm pretty sure he has dual citizenship because of the 14th Amendment, right?
No, I don't. He wasn't born here.
He was born here. He says he was born here and then he moved to Montreal for 15 years and
Oh,
then
okay, then
this
yes, then yes. There, well,
yeah,
okay, but would his parents be
because he
were
has
his?
the same parentage my cousins do. My cousins are American, and my uncle was Canadian. He comes from Canada, and he met my aunt in Washington, and they had kids in Washington, and
Oh,
that's why
okay,
they have dual citizenship. So that's
yeah.
how I know that. So yeah, so I'm pretty sure that's because of the 14th Amendment. So
It's
it just
also
gets me.
that's also how Chris Jericho has dual citizenship because
Yeah,
his dad played hockey for the Rangers.
yeah. I love
But
making fun of him
but
being Canadian
that's a
because
perfect
he hates it
example.
so much.
But that's a perfect
Sorry.
example of like Chris Jericho. He's Canadian. His parents are Canadian. His
Yeah,
father played for an NHL team, so that's very potentially temporary status.
yeah, absolutely
So, with
temporary
that
status.
being
Yeah,
said, if his Canadian father is living and working in the state of New York and could theoretically be there for the foreseeable future, what
I
would
mean,
that do to his family life other than be unnecessarily overcomplicated?
my uncle had just gotten his green card when I was like a teenager. He had just gotten it. So he was there on a worker's visa and he had
Hmm.
kids. So
Yeah,
how that not is that not anchor
Presum-
babying?
presumably, I
But because
mean,
he's, Caucasian, he doesn't
I don't
he
even
had a
think.
kid to obtain of citizenship. Then how is that any different than how is the Canadian immigrant any different from like there's always that implication. That's what gets me with conversations about this. Is there's always implications that it's a Chinese guy or a guy from India or whatever, but it's like you can get just
Well,
as
and
easily border jumpers from Canada.
what up, Steve?
What up, Steve?
Steven. Steven. Sorry, goat.
Steven. What
Who's
up,
the goat? Am I
Steven?
the goat or
Jake's the goat. I'll take it.
ah. Incidentally, I did watch that movie on the basketball movie on Netflix with a
Is
literal
it good?
goat.
Is it good?
I'm not gonna say it's great, but it's better than it has any business being.
It looked like that. It had that vibe to me, where I was like, "This looks like it's going to be better than it should be." It has that, totally has that vibe. Speaking of which, looking forward to talking about Toy Story tomorrow.
Yeah, I was pleasant. I don't know. We won't get into that. We'll talk about that tomorrow on Haley's
No, that's
podcast.
tomorrow. That's
That's
tomorrow.
tomorrow. Although, God, could you imagine if they instituted U.S. immigration policy on every child's room in the Toy Story universe?
There's some like, oh no, oh no, I should do this here because Haley's jaw would drop. You imagine there's like some MAGA kid who their toys are doing ice, right?
Combat Carl is enforcing immigration policy
Yeah,
instead of having
pretty,
tea parties.
pretty much.
Like
He's enforcing immigration law, and they're like, "Really?
Woody gets a pass, but that Buzz Lightyear
Oh,
character,
Woody's in charge. He's from here.
well, he's the sheriff after all.
Yeah, he's right. He's running it. He's no, he. I feel like he looked the other way.
No, Woody strikes me as the guy who would uphold the law, but in a
See,
measured and
Buzz Lightyear is definitely enforcing immigration law because he's played by Tim Allen.
Yeah, probably.
See, it's fun to make fun of them because most of them don't have a sense of humor.
I feel like Tim Allen has a sense of humor.
Tim Allen, he has to have a sense of humor.
Well, I will say his show, he got kind of a bad rap with his show, Last Man Standing, but it's like anybody who was criticizing that show clearly never watched it because, like, yes, Tim Allen would probably say that in today's political spectrum, he is to the right. Um,
That show is too much complaining about liberals to me.
but
Like that's
here's the thing. Here's the thing, and this is what I always say. In that show, Tim Allen plays Archie Bunker.
oh, yeah, okay, I guess that's a fair comparison. It's just yeah, to be fair, I've watched TikTok. I've seen it on TikTok. So like isolated and
Most
out of context.
most of the episodes of Last Man Standing are Tim Allen's character, Mike Baxter, that's his name in the show. Mike Baxter having a belief or an opinion or a view that he gets corrected on and comes to
Oh,
better
fair enough.
understand those involved. Now, sometimes to show's credit, it's not always doofus dad. Sometimes he has a point, and there are some episodes where it's like he and the other person, which is usually his daughter, but sometimes it's
Yeah.
somebody else. They at the very least agree to disagree, but they figure out a way to live harmoniously, and that I feel like is kind of Tim Allen's whole deal.
See, I grew up with Home Improvement. I love Home Improvement.
Love Home Improvement.
And anytime I see the Dalai Lama, I have to say hello, Dolly, hello, Dolly, because of that show. When I heard that the first time, I died, and I would not characterize that as a right-wing show.
No, it's
Maybe
not.
if I rewatched it with hindsight, maybe it would appear as a because that does happen sometimes. Like I would argue, and I don't want to dive down that rabbit hole. That could be another podcast. But I would argue that Forrest Gump is the most conservative movie I've ever seen in my life. Like one of the most conservative movies I have ever seen in my life. That movie's whole thesis is just do what you're told and you will become fabulously wealthy. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to do it. Just do exactly as you're told and you will become super duper rich.
Well, Justin, they were his magic shoes.
There it is. I was running.
One of
But yeah,
the funniest ad libs I ever did. I was watching Forrest Gump with this is many years ago. My girlfriend at the time. It's the line where he's like, "I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is." And then I turn to her and I go, "And I want you to show me."
excellent. Excellent. That's funny.
It's
That's
always
funny.
it's always a joy to introduce children to Forrest
Yeah,
Gump.
I love that movie and the statement that it is the most I said that in a video and I got all sorts of mad comments. But the statement that's not condemnation. You can
No,
like things that are conservative. It's all right. Just be good. Like I saw that was another thing you guys said that I was like nobody ever I saw a black person say this and they're like they gave examples of like racist comedy that were like people laugh at that because it's funny. Like
Tropic Thunder.
yeah, you tried that. It's Tropic Thunder. Black people love Tropic Thunder
But
because it's
okay,
funny.
I'm good.
It's funny.
Not only is it funny, the joke. Okay, the racial stereotypes in and of themselves aren't the joke.
No, the joke.
The
No.
joke is Hollywood. Is that
Yes.
fucking like it's a
Is the
white
joke is that he's taking
Australian.
it too far. Yes,
It's
that's the joke.
he's a white Australian method actor who doesn't get why what he's doing is
It's wrong.
super wrong.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the joke.
That's the
It's
joke.
a meta joke that people don't get meta humor nowadays. Like
Which is
I
funny
swear,
because it's everywhere. But
right?
well,
Like
and unfortunately, the vast majority of the conservative movement doesn't understand irony, or well, yeah, they don't. Because here's another thing. Going back to the idea that I'm espousing here of selective definitions. Buckle up, MAGA crowd, because all the stuff that Trump's been doing for his past term is going to bite you guys in the ass royally
for
when,
sure.
and notice I don't say if, I say when the Democrats take back power,
Oh,
including.
are you talking about that election loser of a war he started?
No, not even that, because I'll actually I give a little bit of grace to that because it's okay. I guess we're going to touch on Iran now. the biggest frustration I have with Trump's first term and a little bit of his second term is less. Now, don't get me wrong. In Trump's second term, there's a lot of stuff where I'm just like, this is not a good idea. But some of the stuff, I'm like, I'm with you in spirit, but it's more the manner in which you're doing it that I have an issue with.
He's just like, bah, Iran, bah, and then like a child knocked over a bunch of blocks.
Well, Trump didn't close the Strait of Hormuz. Trump didn't arm the Houthi rebels in Yemen. Trump didn't fund Hamas and Hezbollah and all that shit. Now we can talk about his reaction, but the idea that Iran is a friendly actor in the region is just absolute horseshit.
It's just, here's what I will say. It is, as an outside person, it was getting very frustrating, getting bent over and fisted at the pumps by a geriatric old man who can't stay awake.
But again, I wouldn't blame Trump so much for that as I would Iran closing the Strait of Hormuz.
But devil's advocate, if he hadn't attacked, they would not have closed the Strait of Hormuz.
I see. I don't believe that. I don't believe that one bit.
I mean, it just kind of seems like. I mean, hey, again, not to be conspiracy, but you could also argue, this is devil's advocate on my devil's advocate, that perhaps that they always knew that they could eventually use it as a international economic leverage, and that they just waited for Trump to roll over, in the sense that he's a big fat guy. And I said to Jordan, no, I said to my coworker today, I said, America is a little bit like, I heard this analogy before, but it always makes me laugh. It's a little bit like sleeping in a bed with a really fat person, where like you notice every time they roll over, they were just kind of waiting for him to roll over. Get it? Because he's fat. Sorry, I think.
I'm the thing I always any foreign conflict I hesitate to make blanket statements because even when we're talking about you know the
Only for the jokes, only for the
yeah,
laughs.
but even when we were talking about like the Russian invasion of Ukraine, we did an episode on that too, and I'm like, listen, should not have invaded. That is not a good
Yeah.
thing in any way, shape, or form. There's zero justification for invading a sovereign country in that manner. However, it's also worth pointing out that the United States actively went into Ukraine and said, "Nah, you guys should shit all over these agreements that you've made with Russia. In fact, you should just wipe your ass with them."
Also, allegedly, some of them were Nazis. I don't want to say with any definitiveness in case I'm wrong,
No, no,
but
that's
I
that
heard,
that that's a. I think somebody did they speak. Somebody spoke either at Congress or the Canadian Parliament who was like a legitimate.
yeah, yeah, legitimate Nazi. Yeah,
He like
yeah,
he
that was really embarrassing.
and no, I want to be crystal clear. We don't mean fascistic. We mean a literal fucking Nazi.
Yeah, I know, like literal Nazi. Here's what's interesting about the Ukraine. I think they refer. I'm so like not down with political theory terminology, but I think they referred to it as the horseshoe theory,
Mm-hmm.
where things extend so far left and right that they meet in the middle. Is that how it works? Am I getting that right?
Kind of. So what most okay. So with most political quadranting is you have both economic and social spectrum
Yeah.
that aren't mutually exclusive. So sometimes you will have, and boy howdy, that's another thing I said was going to remember. I don't remember what year I said this, but I remember this is some time ago, and I brought it up several times. Is the right will fracture itself, and MAGA
Yes.
will be the catalyst.
Yep. Yep. We,
Motherfucker.
we, we talked about that. You got, and then in slides. I think you guys talked about Charlie Kirk as well. I do think that was like well, a turning point.
Ooh.
I know I felt gross doing it, but it kind of was where they never recovered from that. Never,
Here,
never, 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 never,
my
ever.
my 2 cents. It was going to happen anyway, but I think that
I
was certainly a catalyst that sped things along because
I think so.
that's where you saw a real. And I'll use Daily Wire as an example here. So you instantly had a line drawn in the sand with people that I'm kind of going to refer to as the socialist right.
Okay, this term is incoherent to me, but perhaps it won't be to you. Woke right?
No, no, I yeah, no,
Is that
I think woke right is a better term actually.
interesting? Explain that to me. Explain it to me.
So the woke
That to me is
right
that to me is a contradiction of terms. It doesn't make any
it
sense.
is, but that's why it's funny. So I would actually call it more of like this is why I refer to it as the socialist right, because
Right.
much like the German National Socialist German Workers' Party, they do want a lot of government benefits and aid, but only to a select group of people, i.e., white Americans.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Some
yeah,
of them don't
naturally,
come
yeah.
out and say that, but some of them do because, like, they have. There's so many policies that are going to people that aren't even Americans.
Every time it's funny. It's funny every time. It's funny every time because it's so accurate.
And
I don't ever want to speak to that man, but I really would like to see you do that to his face.
oh, that'd be so
Like
funny. I feel like
it would
I feel like he'd take it in stride though. Like as
he's
someone
he's
who
on my
does not
list
like
of
him.
guys. No, he would.
Um,
He would absolutely take it in stride. Yeah, he's on my list of guys I have no interest in talking to. But I would like to see you do that
here's
to
the
his
thing. I
face.
would for the sole purpose of asking him. It's like, dude, okay, just I level with me because I'll respect your answer either way. But like, do you actually believe this shit or
No,
is
he
this a
doesn't. There's
grift?
no way he does.
I think
There's
he
no way
believes
he does.
some of it, but I think he's. And I'm like, and then I also want to do the memes. Why are you gay?
I think it's a spectrum for those guys. I think some of them believe more of what they say than others.
Yeah, some are obvious grifts. But to the point that I'm saying is, I think because Tucker Carlson's another really good example of this, and it was so funny.
So is he an example of a woke right? Because I'm never sure who.
He's probably the best example, and here's why. And
Interesting. Okay.
what's really funny is I watched this interview when it came out, and I noticed it at the time. Tucker Carlson did, I forget the year, I think it was 2022, or it might have even been 2020, but I think it was 2022. He was on Ben Shapiro's Sunday special, and he basically advocated if Tucker Carlson were president of the United States, he was asked a question in some way, shape, or form of like, would you use your power as the president to basically stopgap self-driving vehicles? And he said, absolutely. Absolutely, I would. And not only did he say he would, he said he would lie about his justification to make it happen if it were necessary.
That sure sounds like Tucker Carlson.
Well, but again, you got to remember Tucker Carlson at this time was a hero to the establishment, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
but then hearing that, I'm like, that doesn't sound very Republican. That sounds damn near socialist. That sounds like government control, but for something that he wants.
Interesting. Because yeah, I mean, there's the very obvious thing of he hates Donald Trump. Like he hates him. Can't stand him. Can't wait till he can start saying
Now,
shitty things about him. And I think well, I saw several
okay,
long form
fair,
videos of
fair.
making the case that he always has, and a lot of those guys do, and they just play along until
Well,
they
but
no
that's
longer have to.
I keep saying that the right is gonna splinter. I think MAGA. I've said this before. I think MAGA will just fizzle out because without Trump,
For sure will. For sure it will. Well, no, you're
like
gonna know. Not only not it won't fizzle out. See, Jordan thinks it's gonna go strong. We've had many an argument. He thinks it's gonna go strong after Trump is dead. I've always said he's wrong. I don't think it'll fizzle. I think it'll pop.
yeah,
Or it'll
yeah.
burst because you will see it. You will see vying for power in that movement. You will see it. You'll
But
see
you've already. But the thing is, you've already got the divide. You've got the people that are still in Trump camp, which are realistically now are more like your mainstream Republicans that
a little bit,
at
a little bit.
first were kind of anti-Trump, and then in true Republican fashion, they latched onto the teat that was the biggest cow and will move to another cow as soon as another teat presents itself. But then you have what I would argue was the more stronger MAGA crowd now going even more towards the right in certain ways, but also more towards the left in certain ways in the America First crowd.
Yeah, interesting. Wait, you think America First is more to the left?
Certain in terms of economic policy and government intervention,
Interesting.
yes.
So this is again purely outsider looking in, neighbor or whatever. But my theory is this is what I think the Republican Party's dead. I think it's dead in the water. I think it's a whale of a corpse floating in the water while little guys feed off of it until it's completely dead. I think
It'll reform, but the Republican Party as we know it, I'm not going to say it's dead, but it's certainly on the back foot. And
uh,
there's historical precedent for this because if we remember, I'm too
mhm.
young to remember, but well, not really. But I was too young to be politically aware. But like early '90s. people were saying the same thing about the Democratic Party when you had the conservative revolution and the revitalization of the Republican Party under Newt Gingrich and other people. So,
So, well, I guess maybe my how I would maybe amend that then is I would say that I I think democratic socialism. I said I made a video about this, but I do genuine think the version of that is the future of economic systems where we blend
oh
certain
God, I
elements
hope
of
not.
socialism and certain elements of capitalism. Where hey man, if you want to expend capital and use capital to buy things you don't need, but we also cover healthcare and dental and eye whatever all the things food water things people need. I think there will be a blending of that.
Okay,
Because I just
that I can see, which is ironic because that's really what the woke right is calling for. They just want it to be exclusionary and not universal.
that's what the middle center left people they want too, and that's why I think the future. I mean, I think Eric said this on this once, but the future is in the middle,
Yeah,
because
it will
the
be.
the the I always have to come in here and criticize the left because they need criticizing too. They need addressing down. I can't just dress down the right.
And
But
how?
like, are you familiar with Madeline Pendleton?
I feel like I've heard the name, but let's pretend I'm not.
She's a absolute nutcase of a California socialist, who is like, I'm a communist and all the communist countries are right. And North Korea is a put upon country and Cuba is a put upon country. And I'm like, um, but my thing with socialists, like the hardcore socialists, is they always say this really nice sounding stuff, but they never say how they're going to do it. Oh,
To
we want to give everybody food and water and drinks and they want to be like capitalism is evil and we're going to destroy capitalism. You're never going to destroy capitalism because too many people like capitalism. So you're never
well,
going to destroy it.
and
You're
not
never going to
only
get rid of it. It's not going to
that,
happen.
this sounds bad to say, but capitalism is a more, how do I want to word this?
Longer.
Capitalism is a more naturally occurring state compared to socialism. Socialism requires
Yeah.
everybody to agree,
Yep. To a
and
degree anyway, unless you
yeah,
force them to.
well, but that's the thing. That's why socialism and communism always devolve to totalitarianism, because if you have even a small group of dissenters, it no longer works. So to a certain extent, you need to assert the power of the state, which always leads to tyranny, because once
See,
you have power,
that's why my version is my ideal economic system is a combination of the two where you're basically bridling. You're not
well,
outright cutting
well,
it, you're bridling social or capitalism, and because unfettered capitalism is not good for anybody. It doesn't benefit anybody other than like five guys.
that's I okay. So here we go. We're gonna get into economic theory here. So before I get into this, I'm gonna
But also, I'm not the guy, by the way, just to be clear.
no. But I'm gonna why are you
I'm
not
not the guy who
connecting?
creates the system. I just think it up. You
I'm
know
going
what
to
I mean?
preamble what I'm about to go into with the statement that what we have currently in the United States is not capitalism. We have crony corporatism,
Yes,
where
you do.
the government is directly involved in the
A
market
corporatocracy, if you will.
because the government is allowing this and picking winners and losers. And I've often said, if you've never owned a small business, don't, because the government is 100, they are so against you. The system is set up for you to fail. It's set up to help you fail.
Like that in
Unless,
Canada too.
I mean, because they just can't, no country has the ability to just say, okay, just go do the thing.
Yeah.
Just go do
Like
your thing.
my thing is like the reason why I don't believe in total unfettered capitalism because there's just certain things I don't think should cost money. Like there's just certain things I'm like that should be free. You should be making a profit off of that. And that's where I'm like my idea of it is yeah, we put in the occasional socialist policy. We
I mean,
we we taper it. We taper that
I
corporatocracy, if
would
you will.
now we're gonna get into semantics now, but it's like I don't know that I would call that socialism because, like, for example, I think it would be very
No, it's
stupid.
not. It's not
Yeah,
socialism. That's the point. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No,
Because,
yeah, yeah. No,
for
that's the
example,
idea.
I think even though we do indirectly pay for police, but I mean, like, the idea of you having a monthly subscription for police services is just stupid
I
conceptually.
I have to pay a subscription fee to find a job. That is the most ridiculous capitalist thing I've ever heard in my life. In order to use Indeed, you need a subscription fee to get the premium version. Otherwise, your resume doesn't get out to people.
Well, I would just not use Indeed because I think Indeed is evil.
I mean, but yeah, the point being is we shouldn't be monetizing things that don't require monetization.
Fair,
And I
fair,
just
but
think,
here's the thing: in a truly capitalist society, somebody like you could come along and say, you know what, Indeed kind of sucks. I feel like this is bullshit.
yeah,
I'm gonna create a job site that pays for itself through advertising, for example, so that you as the user don't have to pay to use it.
fair. Yeah, that's fair. That's an excellent point. That's why I've always been like, to me, I've always seen Star Trek and Orville and all those guys as an amalgamation of the two ideas. Of like, there's nothing wrong. Like I'm like, oh, I'm socialist until it comes time to buy a thing I don't need. Then I'm like, capitalism all the way, baby.
I mean that
So
that
like,
would I've always said like God, once we have the food replicator, that's when you could truly have something like the socialist utopia that you're kind of without the government
yeah, once we've solved
over.
hunger, people are not hungry. Then I'm like, okay, capitalism all the
Well,
way.
I've said this before that the solving hunger would be the greatest thing for capitalism ever
Yeah, absolutely, yeah,
because
yeah.
then all the money goes to the shit that people want.
Um, but the got away from the point about Madeline Pendleton at the horseshoe was that she's saying the same shit that the right people on the right are saying, which is that Ukraine is filled with Nazis and that Russia's the good guys. So like you're saying the same shit that the guys on the right are saying. Like that's what gets me is like or like Candace Owens
Oh
being
God,
like Trump has changed and you're like no dog he's been this way the whole time
no, he
like it
really
like
he really
I turn
hasn't.
into fucking like B Rabbit and I'm like, pay attention. You're saying the same shit that they said 5 years ago, but now you're saying it. Like, yeah, he's a liar and he lies. Like, you're either on board with that or you're not, but stop acting shocked by it.
Well, the people that in the span of a year went from there's no way involved in the Epstein files to like Trump is a pedophile.
Right?
And it's like,
Right?
wow, I mean, that was a turn.
That was a turn. I mean, it sure looks like he's in there and an uncomfortable amount of times, but like, regardless,
But I mean,
there's
the
other worse
switch,
things you should be worried about with him.
the switch was very. I was like, really? What? I don't. There was like a 2 month period where I was like, wait, what? When did
Yeah.
when did when did we stop being conservative and start advocating for like government spending and subsidizing only the shit that you want?
I saw a lot of people, a lot of left-leaning people like, I don't agree with Candace Owens. Candace agrees with me. I don't agree with Candace Owens. She agrees with me. Like I saw that about so many Tucker Carlson. I don't agree with Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson agrees with me. It was like it became the mantra on the left. But like when it comes to the Democratic Socialists, though, the reason why I know a variation of that, in my opinion, is the future, is both the left and the right hate it. Like the right is like it's fucking communism, bro, and the right's like it's too fucking capitalist, bro. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys are the same. This is why I'm a center-leaning person. You guys drive me fucking crazy. You're saying the
this is
same bullshit.
this is why I'm a moderate because
That's what I'm saying. This is why I vote NDP. You guys drive me fucking mad.
well
Because I'm like, you're saying the same bullshit.
the good news is, and there is good news. So I've been reading. I'm still not finished with it, but I'm at the real juicy parts. I've been reading a book called The Fourth Turning, and I've always viewed history as cyclical anyway, but this book really reinforced it for me. And just to give you,
Watch movies, you'll realize that.
yeah, hand how. But keep in mind, this book was published in 1997, but it's been reprinted. It's not been changed, but it's been reprinted with like a new foreword or something. And 2 chapters ago, they made some pretty bold predictions of things that would happen in the fourth turning of the millennium seculum, which we are currently in. We're in the crisis fourth turning of the millennium seculum. We're at the tail end of it. It's due to end anytime between like 2025 and 2030. So the prevailing opinion is it's probably going to end around 2030 and give way to a new
Interesting.
high.
That would
Um,
make sense. Yeah.
some
That would give
some
JD Vance enough time to lose the presidency. So that makes sense.
some of the predictions that they made: a global pandemic,
Really?
yeah, a
Bold.
financial crisis that would affect the entire world's economy,
It's coming.
rising conflict in the Middle East,
Already happening.
Which I mean, that one, I mean, like, yeah, go figure.
I mean, that's a pretty safe guess.
Yeah,
There's
that's
always
it.
conflict in the Middle East.
But their pandemic also a global pandemic that would lead to civil unrest in many countries across the world.
Very
And
accurate.
I'm because I'm on a live podcast, I'm blanking on a bunch of others, but like virtually everything changing a few minor details because like they cited Lebanon as the main source of location of conflict in the Middle East, but it said it would permeate throughout. And I mean,
It's pretty
Lebanon's
close.
in there, but I would say Iran was the bigger instigator. Um,
Didn't Israel attack Lebanon?
no, Israel attacked Hezbollah, which is in Lebanon, but it is not the Lebanese government.
Gotcha. Because yeah, it was like there was the ceasefire, and then or Israel pretty much violated it pretty immediately by attacking. I want to say it was Lebanon.
I don't know the details or
No,
their
no, sorry, it was
justification.
Yemen. It was Yemen. It was Yemen. That's what it was.
Well, again,
It
you're
wa-
talking about the Houthis and not the Yemeni government, because the Houthis are a terrorist organization that operates within Yemen, but they are rebels against the government of Yemen.
I don't know. I just to be fair. I'm seeing it through people like on. I'm only half paying attention, so not. I see people be like, oh, Israel. And people tend to what's the word? Trump is really guilty of this. Tend to anthropomorphize countries. They have this tendency
Yeah,
to anthropomorphize countries.
yeah, and I mean, I'll be the first. Well, I won't be the first, but I'll be in the
I
line of people that say like, "Hey, Israel's not perfect," but it is worth noting. There's one country in the Middle East that has a legitimate democracy, and there's only one.
I just I don't know. I've seen too many arguments on both sides that seem equally valid. So like I'm like I just I'm a
Doesn't mean
I'm
doesn't
gonna stick to
doesn't
my
mean
movie podcast on this one.
doesn't mean they're perfect, but
No, but what country is perfect?
none.
Switzerland. Their cheese and
Actually,
chocolate
I made that
and army knife.
I made that joke in one of our Star Trek episodes where I was like, "And what country hasn't done something stupid?" And then I immediately cut to the Irish flag and the Irish national anthem.
So it's okay. See, another example of like a left-leaning creator who is like a hypocrite of someone. And to be fair, what she was saying was not inaccurate, but how your administration is trying to turn your country into a theocracy. But she's
Sure.
complaining about this while living in Ireland, home of the Irish Catholics. So like, it's just a little like it's it's just a little like this is it's tad hypocritical to be complaining about this while being at the birthplace of the Irish Catholic.
Yeah, that's kind of like somebody in Saudi Arabia complaining about the U.S. being a Christian nation.
Right? Exactly. Like, I don't know. Family Guy reduced that part of the world to hitting your wife and popping out a kid. So, like, I'm just saying, you're not house a little made of glass. Just what I'm saying.
Well, and it's worth noting that one of the better, I believe, in the first season of American Dad, we were graced with the musical number "Stay Away from Saudi Arabia."
Yeah, yeah. I
I
mean,
believe the closing line was, "If you have a vagina, vulva, or labia, stay the hell away from Saudi Arabia."
yes. I quote that episode all the time where I'm like, God is a woman. God is a woman. Oh, it's a terrible. Some good ideas. A terrible shame we have to kill him. God is a woman. I can't believe I have to repeat that.
But
Um,
lest I forget again, speaking of Star Trek, the sponsor of today's episode, the Final Frontier podcast, but specifically their upcoming appearance this weekend at In Conjunction. Here is a quick video to let you know what's going on. Hey everybody, it's Jake from the Final
it was
Frontier
like, hey, you guys
pod,
are gonna be busy this weekend. And I was like,
kind of us. Me definitely. Hey everybody, it's Jake from the Final Frontier podcast, and I want to invite you to come see, well, kind of us. Me, definitely. Justin will be there in robot form to In Conjunction, Indiana's oldest volunteer sci-fi and book convention. We have been graciously invited to lower the bar at In Conjunction, and we will happily do so, but we're also going to raise that fun bar. We're going to have our table set up, tell people about the podcast. If you watch and you're in the greater Indianapolis area, come say hi, take a photo. I'll sign something for you. I don't care. And we're going to have Star Trek merchandise to sell. We're going to have a raffle going off and free candy. Come to In Conjunction, say hi to us, and then check out all the other great stuff. And a little birdie told me there's going to be gaming and panels.
oh, that's pretty cool.
So
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So come see us at In Conjunction July 10th through July 12th, 2026 at the Wyndham Indianapolis Airport. So that's the hotel that's right there, conveniently located close to the airport. And we will see you guys there at In Conjunction.
We will see you there.
I will see you. Justin will see a video feed of you. Dang, that would have been good.
But
But we are back. So yes, come if you're a Star Trek fan and or will be around the greater Indianapolis area, July 10th through July 12th, come see us at In Conjunction. There's a link in the description that can tell you how to get your tickets. If you register online, it is a little bit cheaper, but if I'm not mistaken, yeah, you can enter at the door. It's just a little bit more.
cool. Cool. Neat.
Indianapolis
Neato.
area, Neato. July 10th through July. Neat
Neat.
stuff.
Bender meme. Neat.
Wow,
Wait,
we got off the 14th Amendment. Hardcore.
14th Amendment. I mean, I'd be remiss if Jake, you got to explain the 250th White House lawn fight to me.
I don't know. I didn't see it. I don't.
You didn't see the moment where that one dude called Michelle Obama a man and then tried to walk it
Oh,
back
that
days
guy.
later
Yeah.
by making it out like it was a compliment?
Yeah. No, I'm not. Yeah, some UFC. I don't even remember his name.
I know. I couldn't. I couldn't. I just okay, just you have to tell me that whole thing was embarrassing, right?
To some people.
Okay, no, fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, I am someone who I'm going to preface. That's the word I was looking for earlier. I'm going to preface with I don't believe Michelle Obama is a man. However, I find all the memes just chef's kiss hilarious.
Well, I guess maybe I should again rephrase this. Do you find the notion of them doing a trailer park fight on the White House front lawn like like I made the joke that it felt slightly white trash, but it just or like the fact that all of the people who were supposed to be doing that event all canceled and it became sad or nobody showed up to the state fair or like does that reflect on you guys? Like, do you feel that reflects on you? Like, your like, I don't want to say reputation as a country, but like
It doesn't look good, but much the same as like
him falling asleep in cabinet meetings. Like, that's gotta feel at least slightly
well
embarrassing. It just
to
doesn't seem like it is.
to be fair, those cabinet meetings have got to be boring as shit.
I
I mean,
mean,
would you listen to Stephen Miller drone on for 40 minutes about the Wyatts?
no, but I wouldn't have hired Stephen Miller in the first place.
Valid point.
I saw a video where he was calling somebody else weird, and it was again the one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I'm like, you're not the guy. You're not the guy, Stephen. You're not the guy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've seen the video of you in college, my dude.
Right. You're not the guy.
No,
It's just like
he
just
so
yeah.
wants to be the guy, but
He wants to be the guy, but you're not the guy. You're gonna stop being president the minute Trump dies or leaves office. I guarantee you. Like all those people are probably gonna wind up on trial for something. Like almost all of them. For
I mean
something.
they're all politically done. They're
Oh, for
like
sure.
this is what I just cannot fathom. And well, I can. The only reason they're doing the things they're doing is because they literally think that they're popular.
I know they do.
They think that what they're doing is popular, and I'm just like, guys.
It's wild. But to be fair, that's because you've got some of those grifters convincing people shit like JD Vance is popular. They're convinced of it. They're convinced that he's charismatic and that people like him. His wife barely likes him. I saw the funniest video where it was him interviewing her, and she was wearing this really boring like dress, like brown, ugly brown dress, and she like blended into the chair she was sitting in. And one of the comments was he only likes her because she's dressed like a couch. I was like, excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. But no, he like more than anyone, his career is done. You thought Mike Pence's political career
No,
was done.
Mike Pence might actually. Well, no, there's not Mike. I think Mike Pence politically is on better footing than JD Vance right now.
I, Here's the thing.
Not to say Mike Pence is on good political footing, but that's because he's as boring as an empty shoebox.
I don't I don't think he is because I don't know. Maybe you'll disagree with this. I man again made another video about this, but I think that old people candidates are done for now for at least 5 to 10 years. There's no way that I think it is. If your country is smart in your reelection, you will cull every single old person candidate you possibly can on reelection. And I'm not just talking the Republicans. Fucking Bernie's got to go. Like Bernie's
I
got to
I
go.
I think you're right
Get rid
because
of Bernie.
funnily enough,
Because Mitch
funnily
McConnell's dead, right? We can agree on that. He's dead.
funnily
He's passed. He's passed on.
Funnily enough, that's another thing the book brings up. Now, remember, published in 1997, it predicted that the silent generation was going to hang on to political power with a stranglehold. And
Not be so silent.
it's worth noting, Biden, Trump, Bernie, McConnell, and Pelosi, I,
Pelosi.
they're all silent generation.
Yeah, absolutely they are. Yeah, yeah.
Every one of them.
Wait, so I think you've said you're not pro term limit though, right?
I'm not pro or anti. It's one of those things where I understand what people are trying to do, but if you impose term limits on Congress, here's what you will effectively do. Because there's a word for this. I'm blanking on it, but like you look at a proposal and you consider the unforeseen consequences of what that would do. And so
Fair enough. Yeah, fair
here's what you
enough.
do. And here's a nice little anecdote. I come from a state, Indiana, where for decades we had a senator that was extremely popular with his constituents named Richard
Yeah, same
Lugar.
here. We don't have term limits. Like in Canada, we don't have term
Yeah,
limits.
yeah. Richard Lugar was very popular among Hoosiers in Indiana, but also, I mean, he was a guy who was in Congress and got shit done, right?
Yeah.
He was reasonably popular for a senator. When you impose term limits, you bar people like that from being able to stay and do more.
Yeah, if they get in young, then you prevent the young guys from staying in until they can, like until they should leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. So,
Now,
what would your solution be to solve it then?
probably here's what I would probably do, and this kind of goes back to the Constitution and how it viewed both houses. I might. Oh God, this would require a constitutional amendment, though. I would.
Ooh, never gonna happen then.
I mean,
But I'm entertaining it nonetheless.
the only reason I probably wouldn't put term limits on on representatives is because their terms are so short.
That's a fair valid point. But would age limits solve it, do you think?
No, because that technically speaking, that's unconstitutional because that would be discrimination based upon age. So
Interesting.
that would be
Because like
discrimination.
just surely, 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 like I don't love Mark Carney, my prime minister. I don't love his opposition, but like I'm not worried they're gonna have to weekend at Bernie's him. Like surely every other week is Mitch McConnell dead? Is Donald Trump dead? Is he alive? Is he dead? That must get old. Like that has to get old at a certain point, right?
Yeah. But going into my sort of policy
Yeah, sorry, go
prescription.
on.
So the main reason why I wouldn't put term limits on representatives is because they only serve 2 year terms, which I think is a
Valid.
problem in and of itself because you're in for 2 years, so you're constantly seeking reelection.
Pretty well, yeah. It's always like,
So
oh, here comes the midterms. Yeah,
so
enough, yeah.
and if I could magic wand this, I would probably give representatives 4 year terms, but institute like probably not a finite term limit, but maybe like a 2 consecutive term limit or something like that, where like you can be a representative more than twice, but not consecutively.
Interesting. Interesting.
But I would
Interesting.
probably leave senators without because the Senate was designed to kind of be more of like that, not permanent, but a more long term fixture.
Hmm.
That's kind of what it was intended to be. But again, and here's my biggest problem with term limits is now you no longer have you don't have corporations and special interests buying individual candidates. You just have them buying
Buying
political action.
seats.
Yeah, because they just start political
Yeah.
action groups that then pluck candidates and they can pluck them from anywhere and then just say
Also,
like
To be fair, we don't have term limits, and I'm not pro term limit. Demonstrably in Canada, anytime anyone has ever run for a fourth term, they lose badly. They just do. It's just never been. There's never been. I think there's been like one prime minister who's won a fourth term. So I don't think that is the solution. I just don't think that is the
I
solution for the.
think I think it's kind of goes back to the whole anchor babies thing or birth tourism thing. It's like, is it a problem? Yes, but probably not as big of a problem as a lot of people think it is, because like, okay,
Popular opinion is a thing, and people will get sick of wondering if Mitch McConnell is alive. It's just they will get sick of wondering if that senior citizen, and they'll vote him out.
I guess that's kind of my point. Is I'd be a much bigger fan of, instead of term limits, let's try to overturn Citizens United. Let's don't let the government anymore view corporations as people when it comes to political financing. Like, I don't think
Yeah,
corporations should be able to fund politics at all. So like,
yeah,
if you're a billionaire and you want to fund politics, you're, as an individual, you can do that, but there are limits to what you can do.
mhm,
And
yeah.
I would just as soon get rid of all political funding, but I guess you can't get rid of it. Um,
Not as long as things cost money.
yeah, but what I would rather see, and this would be a bit of that socialism we were talking about.
That's what I'm saying. Melding of the two.
Every presidential candidate gets a 2 hour block, and I mean every presidential candidate.
Yeah, yeah, that seems
Everyone
fair.
that is on the ballot gets a 2 hour block in the states in which they are on the ballot to lay out their platform, to be able to talk about it at length, answer questions in a setting. Like, I think there should also be a debate too, but this is, everybody
Mhm.
gets 2 hours to lay their shit out. And that would be very telling, because a lot of, especially presidential candidates, but I believe this would be the case for senators and representatives too, a lot of them don't actually know what the fuck they're talking about. And if they got to fill
No.
2 hours of content, like,
Yeah.
I think that would do more for politics than anything, and
Oh, for sure.
it would be fair because it's on PB. Everyone that has a television can
Yeah.
somehow, some way get PBS.
Stream it on the internet.
But even an old school antenna, you can get PBS
This is true.
in
This is
every
true.
state, in every locality. And again, if you have an internet connection, you can. PBS has a fucking YouTube channel.
Yes, they do. They absolutely do. Yeah, they stream to it. They stream to it all the time.
Yeah, I've watched live coverage many a day on PBS.
Um, but another strike against the term limits thing as well is you think Congress isn't motivated now. Imagine if it's the fourth year and you don't have to run again. You don't have anything to make people to motivate people. They're gonna be even more
Lackadaisical.
lazy. Yeah, thank you. They're gonna be even more that because they have
So
no motivation to impress people at that point.
okay, so here's an idea. Maybe we keep the 2 year representative term, but you can't run consecutively back to back.
That seems like that would help. But then I don't know how that's helping your prevent your geriatric politicians from running at the age of 75 and
Well,
winning.
because okay, they run at 75, they have to leave at 77. They can't run again until they're 79.
My argument to that would be you've got an 82-year-old president that really wouldn't stop anybody
He's
theoretically,
not a
but
representative, Justin. He's the president.
I, I don't know. I cannot believe that I refuse to believe that you're like my stand-in for America right now. I refuse to believe
Oh boy.
that you guys are excited about watching your president have a daytime nap on television
We're
or
not.
talk about how he
Well,
definitely pooped
and I
his
want to
pants.
I want to be fair here. Biden did all that same shit too, and we were none too pleased. But now, of course, everybody on the right's defending Trump now. But so
Exactly. That's my point. It was
actually,
embarrassing
this
when Biden didn't.
I've
Why is it embarrassing for Trump? Sorry.
I've brought this up before too, and I think this might do the most to solve. It's actually taking a page out of Plato's book. Is I think that once you're elected to Congress, much like the president and vice president are given public housing, congressional dormitories.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah.
There's
I think that. Yeah.
Senate apartments, representative apartments, and don't make them the shits. Make them nice.
Make
Make
him
them
nice. Make
super
him.
nice.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that seems
the
fair.
the big thing I hear Bernie always says is like, listen, the reason I have three houses, I have a residence in Vermont. Okay, fair. You do live in Vermont. I have a residence in Washington. It's like, okay, yeah. When you're in Congress, it's not like Vermont's fucking far, but I get it. That's a bitch of a commute. Like, feel bad for the ones from Texas, frankly, but like I get it. And then
Yeah.
like many Vermonters, which this is not a false statement, like many Vermonters, I have a vacation home. It's like, okay, cool. Wouldn't it be great if we got rid of the need to pay for a residence when you're in Washington?
Right, right, right. Oh man, that shit like that. Nothing I've discovered, nothing annoys me worse than a person who bitches about capitalism who participates in capitalism. It is
Oh
like
my
the
god,
thing
that's
that
why I
fuck.
hate him too.
So to go back to Madeline Pendleton for a second, she constantly likes to be like, I own my own clothing company, which you have to sell in a capitalist system. I'm a best-selling author, which how
Capitalism.
you do you think you became a best-selling author, Madeline? You sold your book, Madeline.
It's
Drives you fucking
worth
crazy.
it's worth noting that Karl Marx didn't give away the Communist Manifesto.
He sold it. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It just that shit drives me mad. It's just like, yeah, you participate
If
in
you're
capitalism
if you're a
while you
real
live in
fucking
California,
if you're a real fucking communist, start a fucking live journal blog which is free and give that shit away for free.
right?
If you're
Right? You
not giving it away
sell
for free, I
clothes,
can't.
Madeline. You sell clothes.
Why don't you give
Drives
your
me
clothes
mad.
away?
Right? Exactly. Yeah, why are you not giving them away? Like, yeah, no,
Now
drives me mad.
I know the answer to that, and I also love to poke fun at Bernie because notice how once he became a millionaire, it was no longer in America millionaires shouldn't exist. It's now billionaires shouldn't exist because you are now a millionaire.
I mean, I tend to I very basically I'm like I'm sort of on the train of I just don't think anyone should be a trillionaire. I really don't think that. I don't think anyone should have more money than they can ever spend. Once you hit the point where you're like, I will never need to spend any money ever again, you should have to give it to the occasional other person. Or
My
at least use it. Be
my own
forced to use it.
well, it's worth noting that Elon Musk, God, what organization was it? Fuck. Uh Shit. I'm gonna butcher this. Something about he offered to write a check for however many billions of dollars it would take to end world hunger, and the organization needed to give him a number, but the condition is that everywhere the money went would be transparent, and they
Yeah.
didn't take him up on it.
Look, I don't have warm fuzzy feelings about any millionaire. I just or any billionaire
Hey,
and higher
trillionaire.
trillionaire. Yeah, I don't have
Well, at
warm
least
fuzzy
I
feelings
don't
for a
know if he
trillionaire.
is still, but yeah, at one point he was.
Worthwhile note, he wanted to go to Epstein Island and was deemed too weird. There's a bunch of emails in the Epstein files of him emailing Jeffrey Epstein being like, "So when's the party at?" and asking to be invited to Epstein Island. And he was denied because he's too weird. Just putting that out there. Throwing that out there. Just lobbing it out there. They deserve it.
I agree with you ethically, but I'm more it's the compulsion part because it's like
Want to be a million. I get it. I get
no, no,
the
no, no. It's
impulse.
it's not that. But here's the thing, and I don't think I'm certainly not alone here. I would love to be a billionaire because if I had that kind of money, I'd do so much shit that's
Yeah.
not for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I'd be like,
Exactly.
hey, what deadly disease can we fucking eradicate?
But I'm always like, but to be fair, I'm the person that says anyone who says they wouldn't sold out has not been made the correct offer.
Oh, 100%.
That's just my thing. Anyone who says the same people who say money doesn't buy happiness clearly doesn't know how many problems money would solve. It's just so like I'm a mess of contradictions. What can I say?
Well, but the thing of that is, it's funny because I watched a video the other day of the person who was like defending Crispin Glover's take on the ending of Back to the Future and why he hated it, and I'm like, but Crispin, you misunderstand. You're a
Crispin
su-
Glover hates the end of Back to the Future
Oh
too.
yeah, no, Back
I
to the
thought you.
Future one.
Oh, I was gonna say. I mean, I understand why he hates that movie because he's not in it, and they made it
Yeah,
look like
Back
he
to the Future
was.
Part Two. No, I'm talking about Back to the Future Part, which is funny because I
Oh,
agree. I agree with Kristen Glover on why he sued them for Back to the Future Part Two, but I vehemently disagree, and I think his take is wrong on the end of Back to the Future, which I have recently
what
found
is
out,
his take?
and I have a caveat though, and I don't know because I
Okay.
haven't. I've been told that the original script was somewhat different than what we see in the movie. So Crispin Glover's, I
Mhm.
don't know if that's true or not, but
Mhm.
Crispin's biggest issue
I'm
with
pretty
the
sure it's true.
end is that it's basically saying that the McFlys are happy and better off because they're rich,
Oh, interesting. I mean,
and
that is
that.
certainly one reading of the material you could take away from it, I suppose.
But I do and always have made the case that the McFlys being better off financially is a side effect of them being happy, and the reasons why they're happier people. They're not disconnected, but they're not. The happiness came first and the money came after. It was a
Yeah,
byproduct
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
George's
I would,
confidence, right?
yeah, I would never interpret it that they're happy because they're rich. They their relationship was more fulfilling, and that led to him being more successful.
Correct.
That's how I always read it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I've always read it, and that may be the change they made because if it was a case of like, hey, we're rich now, so that means we're happy. It's like, well, while I wouldn't say that's not true, um, I could see how you not wanting that to be the message, but
I mean, there's a lot of stuff about that ending that I on this past time I watched it, I picked up on. Like, yeah, I mean, it would be fair. He became a writer, whereas at the beginning of the movie, I don't know what job he does with Biff,
he
but
was
he's
some
this. I
pencil
mean,
pushing nerd who,
he's the pencil pushing nerd who does Biff's paperwork. Um, but like at the end, his inspiration from Marty has pushed him to become a writer, and now he has a passion. So
yeah.
I would say his happiness comes from his passion. That
Well,
he's more passionate as a result of having a passion.
and here's the funny thing, and this video did point that out. Arguably, Biff's better off in that alternate future too because he owns his own business.
Well, I did that. That's another thing I picked up on. I didn't realize. I thought
He
I
also
didn't
seems
realize that
happier.
he does. Well, I didn't notice or realize until I just recently watched it that he owns a car dealing detailing
Yeah,
business, and that's why he's there. I didn't realize. I
yeah.
never noticed that before the
And
last time I
George
watched it.
George is not trying to get something for free out of him. He's just making
No,
sure that he doesn't get conned.
yeah, he's paying him to do a job, and I never realized the implication that he's a car detailer because his car got covered in dog shit or horse shit or whatever. That's why he's a detailer. I love it when you can still discover things about a movie you never realized before. Like I never noticed that.
I love Back to the Future so much.
Because when I was a kid, I always thought it was like, oh, because he stood up to Biff. Now Biff is a worm and he beats up Biff. But no, that's not what it is at all. That's a total
See,
misinterpretation of the scene
I would
of it.
love to, God, I would love to explore that idea of how Biff changed because I like to think that Biff just simply got put in his place and then
Yeah.
reevaluated it. Now, Back to the Future Part 2 flies in the face of this, so
Well, if you're a fan of the Back to the Future games, there's a series of Telltale games where they sort of make the case that it's just an act. He's just pretending. He's
well,
still
yeah,
Biff.
the beginning of Back to the Future Part 2 makes that case as well.
Yeah.
But I would like to think which and is probably more realistic is like okay, Biff is not a good person. Like attempted sexual assault aside, God,
Yeah.
that's a fucking weird sentence to say. Um, Biff's just not a good person. So somebody standing up to him, I would think, would at least partially make one re-examine oneself. Probably not Biff. Now that I think about it, that's not a very Tannen thing to do.
It's funny though because to tie it back to politics, really, but the Biff is the reason why my brain has always just been like there's all other reasons, but someone's made the case that he's basically Donald Trump, but he's the 1980s idea of Donald Trump in the bad timeline. So like culturally, we were always fed the idea of the sideburn, sleazy real estate takes over the. So like evil Biff was the reason why when Trump first came down those escalators, I went really. Um, so
Really?
that's where that's who like and at his core he's a car salesman. Like that's always how I always saw Biff. Like he's oil. Like he's slick.
Yeah, yeah, he's not particularly smart. Although, um, yeah, I'm speaking back to that. I'm a little bit stumped. I'm stymied a bit on my Back to the Future Part 4 writing because of my lack of time. But
Fair enough. Not I mean that's how it's good. You're not just rushing it out. You're letting it cook. You're letting it bake.
oh, I know where it's going. I just have to write it, and I
At least,
don't have time to write it.
if that is ever the writer's conundrum, forever looking for time to sit down and write his book.
Are you up to date on that? Have you read chapter 3?
No, I'm waiting for more of it to come out. I'm a guy where I like to do. I don't like. I've discovered with television and such as well. I like I'm taking things in all at once, so then I don't
You're
have
a
to be like,
binger.
yeah, yeah,
You're
for the most part, yeah.
Well,
Because if
okay.
I,
Speaking of binging, in another
um,
podcast, I have and then we'll get back to politics. I promise. I have an idea. So since which actually I can bring that. If you're a fan of professional wrestling and would like to do a podcast twice a month, we are looking for a co-host or co-hosts for the Down the Middle podcast. The only prerequisite is that you have to have at least a working knowledge and interest in professional wrestling. But Justin, I've brought up to you Lucha Underground a few times.
yes,
I have recently come to find out that, and it's official, it's not pirated. The entire series of Lucha Underground is available for free on YouTube on the Lucha Underground YouTube page.
is it? Is it now?
It
Is it
is.
now?
So I'm wondering if maybe, if you can find the time, maybe not. We're not going to put a timeline on it because it'll take some time. But maybe we come on down the middle and break it down, do kind of like a Lucha Underground retrospective season by season.
I can, yeah, I can be talking to that. I can talk to that.
I think you will absolutely love Lucha Underground.
I mean, if I'm assuming the episodes are nice and compact,
I mean,
short.
it fits into a 1 hour time slot, which is
Okay,
for
okay,
wrestling,
yeah.
that's pretty short.
Certainly. I can definitely watch a few of them. Definitely.
Oh no, see the thing is though, you'll get invested because it's Lucha Underground is unique because it is not a pro wrestling show; it's a TV show about a wrestling company.
Interesting. Yeah, I like stuff like that because I can watch it while I edit. I've gotten really into the middle. Oh, that reminds me. Have you seen the middle? Have you ever watched the middle?
No,
Have you heard of the middle?
I'm vaguely familiar with it.
I have to tell you, but there's an episode of it where one of the characters starts a podcast that was just that is going to be weirdly relevant to this in a second. But for those of you who've never seen The Middle, it's about a family in the Middle America. I think they live in Indiana, I think. But they're like a relatively normal family, except for I'm going to say this the uncouth, un-PC way. Um, they're a relatively normal family, except for their youngest is he's coded autistic, but they never say that he's autistic because the show's afraid to actually say that he's autistic. He's that kind of autistic character. But there's an episode where he starts a podcast about fonts because he's really into fonts, and he does 4 episodes of it. And at the end of the episode, he's like, "I've done everything I've set out to do with this podcast. I've accomplished. I've said everything I need to say. I've accomplished nothing." And the entire episode, as he's doing this podcast, he's got one fan. And at the in the ending credits of the episode, it cuts to the one fan, and the one fan is Jimmy Kimmel, and like actually Jimmy Kimmel in his office, and he's distraught that this podcast has been canceled, and he turns to his he actually says the name of a font. I don't remember what it is, but he turns to his cue card guy. It's basically like, can't you do different fonts at least once? Have a little variety. And it made me laugh because I was like, Jimmy Kimmel? Weird. Weird. What a weird
That's quite
coincidence.
as a huge fan of Sheldon Cooper's short but delightful Fun with Flags podcast.
They at one point, I think they were actually like doing episodes and posting on the CBS website.
See,
At
I'm
one
like
point, I think they
I'm
were.
that guy. I would have totally watched that show.
I mean, absolutely.
However, going back because I promised that we would. So we've talked about jurisdiction. Now, I want to finish this and then go to. So I've kind of gone the opposite order that I've normally tackled this in. I usually start with how Trump didn't even have the authority to do, even if you agree with the logic, he didn't have the authority to do it anyway, but we're starting with the logic. So going back to, I forget the year, but it's basically over 100 years ago, the case of Wong Kim Ark, which is the harrowing tale
I've heard of
of
this
the
one.
son of Chinese immigrants. And an important context, these people were domiciled in the United States, but then moved back to China. And an important reason as to why is because at that time, they would not have been able to get U.S. citizenship, even if they had wanted to. They probably did want to, now that I think about it, but I'm assuming I'm assuming they wanted to, but it doesn't matter because they couldn't have, because at the time China had a policy of very strict, you're not going to renounce your citizenship, and the United States had the Chinese Exclusion Act, so they literally couldn't have. But their son, Wong Kim Ark, was born when they were living in the United States. And he lived in the United States his whole life. He visited his family in China, and then when he came back, they were like, "You can't come in because you're not a U.S. citizen." And he's like, "The fuck?
Yeah.
Yes, I am." And the Supreme Court in the fucking 1800s, or maybe early 1900s. I'm sorry, early 1900s, basically said, "Yeah, no, he's a U.S. citizen under the 14th Amendment." So if a bunch of motherfuckers from the early 1900s can come to this conclusion,
And
at
that
the
was like,
time, at the time where the Chinese Exclusion Act was on the fucking books.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure like that wasn't that like the Chinese railroad, that whole era of time where they were particularly racist towards Chinese people back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah. We had
Because,
our own version of that up in Canada.
yeah. So the idea of jurisdiction here, the right is arguing that jurisdiction actually means having a loyalty to, because so the logic, I'm jumping around a bit here, but the main logic of this idea of jurisdiction in the context of the Constitution comes from a very old concept. Like many laws in the United States, it has its root in English common law, where jurisdiction at that point basically meant, this is why William Wallace's argument in Braveheart actually doesn't fly legally speaking, because he says that he didn't personally swear an oath to the King of England. However, Scotland was at the time of William Wallace's birth under the Dominion of England, so he was under the jurisdiction of the English king, even though he never personally swore an oath to it. Justification is shoddy, yes, but that legally speaking is why I'm not saying his trial for treason was valid, although I mean legally speaking it kind of was.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, by the laws of that time, yeah, legally sound.
One-sided laws, but laws
Yeah,
nonetheless.
yeah, no,
I'm not
nonetheless,
saying
yeah.
William Wallace deserved to be executed. God, I'm not.
But he legally
But
was
legally
he.
speaking, he was guilty of treason.
It was technically look, it's been evidently proven guilty in a court of law doesn't necessarily mean you did it or
Or it
deserved
doesn't
it.
mean you were wrong. It just means you did something that was technically speaking illegal.
Exactly.
Wait. Yeah, okay, sorry. I was looking at dates, got confused. So, the right is arguing that jurisdiction means that you have loyalty to only the United States and not another foreign nation. Now, this comes from an idea that ironically points to the opposite of what they're talking about. So, the idea of jurisdiction in this case, and I've got 100 years of Supreme Court case law to back me up on this, the only people that this excludes are children that are born to foreign dignitaries that are currently in the United States, ambassadors, heads of state, yada, 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 because they are, in fact, beholden and not beholden to a foreign government directly and are not under the jurisdiction of the United States, as it were.
Mhm.
The only other exception are enemy soldiers occupying parts of the United States in a time of war.
Yep. Well, I mean, look, it at the end of the day, racism. Because
Well,
like
and also I'd be remiss then at the time also exclusions of certain Native American tribes that were later incorporated into the United States and given
yeah,
citizenship. At the time, it didn't apply to all, but
because I mean, if it's about loyalty, what
you're
what
saying
says
it's a
that
boot. It's not a boot
it's a boot?
loyalty. It's a
It's not
boot.
about loyalty.
It's about
Um,
dignity. It's a boot respect.
what what is the difference between a Mexican child or Hispanic child who is
Well, no,
born
actually,
in
Mexican would be appropriate here.
is it appropriate? Okay, a Mexican child who was born in America as a baby, like their mother came here and had them as a baby, and they go to American school and have an American education and are educated in all the American exceptionalism you want them to be. What is the difference between that and a white child doing the same thing?
There isn't, but racism.
racism. That's the thing, right? Is they're like, oh, you're just inherently disloyal because you're brown, and it's like, oh, I don't
No,
like that
I'm
implication. That implication. But to be fair, certain people on the right are making that implication.
well, and there is a smidge of nuance there, and I'm only going to say this is a lot more people were crossing the southern border than the northern border. That's all I'm going to say.
There were people crossing the northern one.
There were, but if you're talking priority and numbers, now I mean,
I
it
mean,
doesn't justify a thing because I'm looking at this.
patriotically, it's because Canada's better. Nobody wants to leave.
It's also harder to get. It's also harder to get there because you have to go through the United States, generally speaking, unless you're taking a plane. But
True, true. No, I meant like nobody wants to leave Canada to go into America.
I don't know that that's true. Stephen Crowder
I mean,
did.
like in a running sense, like a crossing the border
Oh
sense.
yeah, well it's because it's not a, it's about dignity. It's about
It's not about
respect.
dignity. It's about respect
Oh
and
god.
dignity.
But
That
okay,
never that
so
never gets old.
that idea of jurisdiction. Again, going back to what I've always said, if you are not subject to the jurisdiction, that means you cannot be tried for a crime. So because you're outside of the jurisdiction of that area. So
Right.
like do you really want the alternative here? Do you want anyone? Okay, so let's run this back, right? Let's go with their logic. If the parents of an alleged birth tourism deal, if they cross the border illegally, but they're outside of the jurisdiction of the United States, then they did not, in fact,
Cross the
illegally
border
cross a
legally.
border.
Right. Right. If you're yeah, exactly. They can't be subject to the laws, but also not subject to the laws insofar as you want to illegally treat them with illegal like illegally deport them or what have you.
Yeah, and that's ridiculous. That's absolute
But
that's absolutely fucking ridiculous.
I
The
mean,
the
why?
idea, well, and here's the thing: they argue that this shouldn't apply to tourists. It's like, okay, so tourists aren't subject to the jurisdiction of the United States when they're in the
Right.
United States. That's ridiculous.
Right. Right.
Now, granted,
And they let
you give some leeway with certain infractions because I mean, yeah, but big deals like I don't think you would have to explain to someone that yeah, murdering someone is wrong and
right.
against the
Right.
law.
I mean, unless you're a psychopath, but I just feel like you could murder people locally if you really.
Well, no, they can murder people in their own country.
That's what I'm saying.
No,
Right? They
you
don't need
can't.
to
You
cross the.
cannot. You cannot do that.
No, no. I mean, if you were to commit to the action of doing it, just feel like
You
crossing
need
the
not
border
travel.
specifically to do it. Exactly. Yeah,
You
that's
need
what you mean.
not
But
travel to the United States to do that inherently. Now your target may
right,
be there, but
right, exactly, exactly. But if it's just about if you're like one of those serial killers who just likes it random, it can be random in your own damn country.
yeah.
That's what I'm
So
saying.
go back to where you
Go
came
back
from.
to it. What? Go back to Canada, eh?
Okay,
Loser.
but so the jurisdiction bit. They're wrong. The Supreme Court, the conservative majority, including the Chief Justice, voted against Trump on this one.
Well, another funny bit. So much funny bit. Another funny bit is all the people. Amy Coney Barrett is the funniest justice in ever put on the court because I remember sitting and watching her confirmation hearing. I listened to it when I was at work. I remember listening to it and everyone freaking out because they thought that she was going to be the harbinger of the fucking end of democracy and she was just going to go along with everything Trump did. And she is a staunch constitutionalist. She's always made that clear. And just the absolute freak out of the people on the right being like, and then that's the other thing. There's always this layer of like sexism caked into it where they're like, oh, you notice it's only the girls. It's only the girls that don't obey. And it was like, yeah, she's a conservative. She's still a conservative.
Well,
She's just a constitutionalist.
I find this very funny because I also remember watching her hearing, and I was actually like, this is actually a solid pick.
That's what's funny. It's like everyone's like, oh, she's just gonna do what Trump says and
No,
she's just gonna
I
follow
could have told
Trump.
you. I think I said that at the time. I'm like, no. I mean, look at her record. She's a pretty strict
I
constitutionalist.
I did at the time, but I wasn't expecting Trump to take such a obvious
That
and
is
massive
fair.
shit on the Constitution.
That is fair. And I also stuck up for Katanji Brown.
Yeah, they. Oh my god, my thing with her is you can't legit criticize these people because the people who actually criticize them always have this layer of racism and sexism caked into it, where it's always because she's black
I'm
and a
sorry.
woman, and you're
I've
like,
God, I feel like such an
oh my
idiot because I'm.
God.
Is it Katanji Brown Jackson or just
I think
Katanji?
so, something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that sounds right.
Jackson Brown,
Katanji Brown Jackson,
Jack.
something to that effect. I stuck up for her because everybody was like. To be fair, she did lean a little liberal, but like compared to some of the other people I'd seen even on the Supreme Court, I'm like she's not that. I mean, like I don't think
I
she has a copy of the Communist Manifesto in her pocket.
I think that something like the Supreme Court should have it should be a balance because if it's going to be about spirited debating of the law, well, to be fair, the law should not be politically motivated. Like, and there shouldn't be a conservative justice or a liberal justice.
But
And I
it's
think
going to happen though. That's the thing because we're all
I think Coney
humans
Barrett
and
made that case of like there shouldn't be a like I'm not here to be right leaning or left leaning. I'm just here to interpret the law as it is. I think she said that in her dissent, not dissent, the opposite of dissent.
yeah,
What it,
her written decision. Yeah.
yeah, she said something to that effect of whether I agree with this or not is irrelevant. It's what the Constitution says.
And fair enough because even Kavanaugh was like, hey, I didn't read his deal, but I'm given to understand that his deal was basically like, listen, like, yeah, they've got some points, but here's how it's written, and it's pretty irrefutable. So if you want to change it, do it through legislation.
That's what I saw. Yeah, you're gonna have to do a constitutional amendment, which is basically Supreme Court code for never gonna happen. Go away.
For good reason, because it should be hard to amend the Constitution. It should
Absolutely, it
have
should be hard.
obscene amounts of public support, which actually is a perfect pivot to my probably stronger point against this whole farcical, stupid. I'm just going to call it a farcical stupid. That's how stupid it was. It's a stupid.
Oh, stupid. And everyone
Even if,
involved is stupid.
even if you agree with the logic about the jurisdiction bit, which I feel like I've showcased why you shouldn't, other than racism, but the president doesn't have the power to interpret or rewrite the Constitution
God, they want him to, though.
via executive order. This is not something he can do because I said at the time when he did that, I'm like, okay, assuming you agree with him, he can't do it.
I mean, they sure want him to, though. There's a lot of
Oh,
people in your country who want a king, man. It's weird. It's
well,
so weird.
they only want King Trump, and but that's another thing. So okay, let's assume that Trump had won this, right? Let's assume in a bizarro world. Okay, next Democrat who comes in is going to issue an executive order that basically puts forth gun control.
I mean, absolutely. Here's you said this already, but like my thing with dumb ideas is always like, okay, let's simulate this. Let's take this to its logical conclusion. Let's see what happens if the thing you want, the stupid thing, actually happens. So like you've got the mass deportations, which was never going to happen. People are genuinely upset that the mass deportations are never going to happen, that were never going to happen. So what are you going to do? Are you going to brown shirt all of the people who look vaguely Mexican away to a vaguely Mexican country? Like as is, those ICE raids made you look tremendously unpopular. So like, what are you gonna do? Go and like take out kids who were born here under the 14th Amendment? What are
They
you
don't
gonna
have the
break up?
political. But that's the thing. They don't have the. Well, I mean, let's take it one step
They
back.
don't have the
Let's
political capital, is what you're about to say.
no, they don't have the political balls.
No, they don't. They don't have the political balls because Trump wants to be the thing that the people on the left don't understand and the people on the right also don't understand is Trump has this cloying need to be liked. He
Hmm.
wants to be liked by everybody. Left, right, center, doesn't matter. And he thinks he is liked. And so he doesn't like doing things. You'll notice that's why those ICE raids stopped because they were making him
I
unpopular.
I fucking said it at the time. I said I don't remember verbatim what I said, but it was essentially that I don't know what the number of videos is going to be, but there will reach a number where a number of videos showing ICE agents apprehending children or like pulling a baby out of its mother's arms or, you know, kicking
Shooting a
people's
mom in a
doors
minivan,
in. Yeah.
point blank.
I didn't even get into shooting people. I mean just optically there will reach a point where this becomes unpalatable even
Yeah.
to general Republicans. There's always going to be a subset of people that are like, yeah, I want more, but those people are fucked in the head. And
Politicians don't seem to realize the internet exists and videos of masked people yanking people out. Here's the thing, and we've often talked about this is again, we call this the average intelligence podcast, but not every single person is as tuned in politically as we are. And political and the court of public opinion matters, and normal people see the videos of, and they don't take the time to make the distinction, right? They don't
no,
take
well, but
time to see the
even
nuance. They
well, and
see a
here,
scary man in a mask yanking a kid away from a parent. That's all they see.
well, right, because even here's my bit about that. Like, let's even say the apprehension is legally justified. The manner in which it's done matters,
Matters.
and
Certainly it
here's
matters to the voting public.
well, and here's the interesting thing too, and this is again, I'm a big fan of nuance, right? So I've had conversations with several people with varying degrees of immigrant status or citizenship, and I always say the same thing whenever there's like a video of a deportation or something, and or hear a story a friend of a friend said, it's like, oh, well, he got deported and he didn't do anything wrong, and I say the same thing every time. I said, if they were deported legitimately, not apprehended, I mean deported, the way the law is written, they have to go through due process,
Yep.
right? So if they were deported, there was a reason. You may not agree with the reason, but there was a, and I remember that it was the one time somebody finally saw the light because I kept saying, and I get it, I'm an American, I'm a white American. It's not comforting coming from me.
Yeah.
But I ended up being proven right because that story about so and so who got deported for no reason, well, turns out he was pulled over and had copious amounts of marijuana in his car.
Well, yeah, that's like I mean, I keep making fun of the Canadians, but there was a story about a lady. Like, there's mass panic with the Canadian 51st state thing that was happening. And it's why I try not to go with panic. But there was a story about a Canadian lady who was what's the word? Detained for multiple days in some random jail cell. And it was like, oh, they just took me in because I was Canadian. Me and Jordan got into it about this once. She just took me in. They just took me into Canadian. And if you pull back it for even like 2 seconds, it was like, well, yeah, she got pulled over and taken in because her passport was expired and she was trying to bring marijuana over the border and sell it. So it
There
was
you
like, well,
go.
that's why she got taken into detainment.
That'll
So like, yeah,
that'll do it, eh?
yeah, but like, yeah, there's always nuance. Anytime I see something that sounds, anytime I see a video from Aaron Parnas, I'm like, I'm sure there's more to this than this.
Well, but my point is in this to bring it full circle. The reason I love this is because it defends against people like Trump.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Because
Well,
boy
certainly it's
howdy,
trying its damn best to. I will say
oh
that.
no, let's look at it. Trump hasn't gotten any major, well, not no major, because some would consider abortion policy going back to the states a major political victory for him. Um, yeah, maybe I don't know, but Trump hasn't been able to do anything flagrantly unconstitutional without at least pushback or resistance.
No, yeah, it's true. Almost everything he's tried has gotten shut down. But there's a sort of a pattern of everything he does get shut down, and then sometimes he just does it anyway. But the just doing it anyway thing
Well,
will
even
not
the
last or
even
work forever.
even the Abrego Garcia guy,
Yeah, they
who,
inevitably had to bring him back.
yeah, and I showed it. I
Inevitably.
showed it to my wife. I said, "See," because the whole time that was happening, I said, "Listen, it's not going to happen quickly, and he's going to go through some shit. He will be back. He will
Yeah,
come
yeah,
back to the United States because they broke the fucking law."
yeah, yeah. The thing is, people, the left and the right. I keep saying this, but it's the truth. Everyone just has this weird Trump derangement syndrome exists on both sides,
It does.
where
I've
he makes
seen.
people fucking crazy.
I
He makes them
do.
crazy.
I appreciate your videos when you bring this up, particularly to people on the left, because it's like, guys, he's not a supervillain if he's falling asleep.
In the cabinet
Yeah.
meetings. Like, there was a video, the person they were making a point that Trump was this evil Machiavellian villain, and in the video he was falling asleep, and I'm like, he can't be both. He can't be a doddering old man who can't stay awake through cabinet meetings
I
and
mean,
constantly trying to do every evil thing on the planet. He
here's
can't
the
be
thing:
both.
Hitler was on meth to
Hitler
not
was
fall asleep,
absolutely on meth.
but
Yeah.
to not fall asleep during his cabinet meetings.
Well, yeah, but a lot of them are like there's like he was falling asleep. He fell asleep during like the Nick. My favorite was when he fell asleep in the Knicks game. Like he's falling asleep. He's narcoleptic at this point. He's falling asleep in public.
Hey, man.
And maybe it's because I have the thing that gets me is do people not have elderly relatives? Like, do they not have? I said in the video where I was like, I went to a doctor and he was falling asleep in my doctor's appointment. Like, elderly people fall asleep. Like, to hold an elderly person against, I'm not holding it against him because he's elderly. I'm holding it against him because he's the president. And I think that's fair. That's a
Yeah.
fair thing to do. My thing is, why is the White House trying to cover it up? Like they're going so far. Did you hear?
Well,
Did you
it's the
hear?
same. It's the same reason the Biden White House tried to.
Yeah, but they're going overboard. Like
So
I
did
guess
the.
it's just Trump.
Okay, Justin, I have to push back on this. The oh God, what's her name? I know her name. The White House spokesperson for Biden came out and said
Oh, he's
that
just as bad.
the president's never been sharper, and then was it the next day or the day of proceeded to have a fucking minute long brain freeze on live television during that debate.
I think for me, what makes Trump more egregious is he's having way more senior moments than Biden did, and also the Democrats realized that they were fucked and got rid of him, put him out to
I
pasture,
they
and
should
now
have
he's
got
living his best
he
life.
should have never even been running. Like
But like same with Trump. Trump. The thing is like, okay, you've got so many. I mean, you've got Trump forgetting that he saved TikTok. He's doing a speech where he's like, "Oh, I'm really popular on the talk tick," or like Dr. Oz being like he thinks that Diet Cola. I just keep going back to it, but it was so mind blowing when they were like, "The president believes that Diet Cola cures cancer," and that's funny when it's my grandpa who thinks that.
I mean
Like it's funny.
to be fair, Justin, have you ever poured Diet Coke on cancer cells?
I'm no, but I'm just gonna take a
I'm
guess and
just
say
gonna take a
probably
stab and
not.
say at best it doesn't do anything, but
No, exactly. But that like shit like that to me like should be in Donald Trump Jr. should be embarrassed. I would
I
be
think he
embarrassed if I was
was.
saying that. He wasn't laughing like he was embarrassed, but like he didn't look embarrassed. But
He
there's been
was
a
kind
lot
of
of times
laughing
where
like, yeah, I know that's a
but
stupid
like
thing to
yeah,
say.
this is the kind of stuff where it's like it's funny when he's not president. Like when he's golfing and he says a funny like my grandma says funny things, but she's my grandma. Like
Well,
like
did speaking of musical numbers of a political leaning, did we not learn from Put It Down?
yeah, put it down. Put down that cell phone. Or just so many like did you see that the White House is trying to make it look like he's sleeping with an intern?
Yes, I did.
Like what? Why are you
No,
doing
I literally
this?
I saw that and I did a double. At first, I was kind of snickered because I thought it was just normal AI slop or something like that, and then I saw the account that posted it, and I went,
Why are you doing this? Why?
yeah,
What is
Trump's social media's use of AI because it's not Trump, but some whatever 19-year-old they have doing that. The reliance on AI it's not a good look.
no, it's really no, that's putting aside the AI slop he likes to post. Like, oh my oh my God. And then the worst thing than the posting of the AI slop, which is bad enough as it is, it's the fucking Harry Zissins and it's the Aaron Parnas and I'm sure there's someone else in there I'm not thinking of complaining about it as if it matters. Like when he posted the AI slop of him doing the Top Gun and shitting on Harry Zissin, which admittedly was funny. Um, like the fact that Harry Zissin reacted to it, dude. What are you doing?
Dude,
What are you doing?
make your own AI slop video.
Right, right. I'm just like, what? Like, why are you getting upset at this? Like, it's not worth it. It's not news,
Be,
man. Stop
because
pretending
be,
this shit is news.
because it will get him clicks because people will go to his oh
I know.
that's so that's so I don't know, uncouth, and who uses uncouth anymore, but anyway,
I mean, it
so
is, but
but it's Donald Trump who like are we
but he's I
expecting
don't know. I no, I'm not. But like no. Here's the thing: is I would you say he's lowered the bar on presidential decorum?
Yes.
I don't know. There used to be a level of like, anytime I see anything from Obama, someone made a joke where they were like right between sandwiched in between George W. Bush and Donald Trump was a very brief period of time where the president could form full sentences. And I was like, it's
Well,
so
now
true.
I'm a,
I used to
I'm a
respect the president.
Justin. I'm gonna tell you the reason we could is because tan suits.
Oh man, that tan suit though. Oh god, I did see that. I saw there's so many great memes I see. Remember when people were upset about a tan suit?
To be
God, I miss
fair,
those days.
to be
It was an
fair,
ugly suit.
that was disgusting.
It was an awful suit. It really
It,
was.
it's so
Or do you
it's
remember
so
when he put Grey Poupon on his hot dog because he's too high
no,
class?
no
Fox News
mustard,
got upset about that.
no mustard. It was funny. Speaking of bad suits, and then we'll wrap it up because we've been rambling for a long time. Back to back, my wife and I watched two back to back chick flick movies, and both of both of them featured moments. Actually, no, it was the same movie. I'm sorry. We watched two back to back movies where at one point one of the main characters was wearing just ghastly, ugly ass clothes. No, it was two back to back movies. One of them, the one was actually it was decent. It tried to be a girl comedy, but it succeeded on the sentimentality. What would I saw the title in Spanish. I think it's voicemails for Izzy or Isabella.
I don't recognize the name.
Well, okay, so like I'm not gonna. There's a wedding scene where the male lead is in his friend's wedding, and the suit he's wearing. If that had
Horrendous.
been my wedding, I would have fucking told him to leave.
I mean, I make fun of bad wigs in movies all the time, so like I get it. I know what you mean. Sometimes you're just
Ugly,
like, that's a bad suit.
ugly
It's
ass
really
suit.
loud.
Ugly ass suit. But then we watched, which I'd never actually seen The Vow, so I was like, fuck it, it's here. I like Channing Tatum. Not a comedy, by the way. So
Oh, yeah. That's the one where the wife forgets who he is, right?
yeah,
Yes. I've heard that
um,
movie's good.
it shows their wedding in that movie, and I looked at the dress and I felt like Tim Gunn that whole night because I was like, really, honey. I saw that
Really?
dress
That's
and I was just like, really, that's that's what you went with, huh?
that does happen to me. I can't think of a specific example, but I know exactly what
Like
you're
that's
talking
a
about.
it's a bold
Really?
choice.
As you've chosen to wear this. Oh, that is not flattering.
I would say make it work, but
That's I have female friends, so they've taught me the best way to say it politically correctly is to be like, it's not flattering on you, honey.
no, not at all.
Not flattering.
But also not flattering. Losing consecutively to the Supreme Court, although not a surprise. Um, Let us know
He's
your
just
thoughts in the comments about the Supreme Court decision, the 14th
Your
Amendment.
American audience. Tell me, is Donald Trump embarrassing to you? Please tell me he is. Tell me, are you? Do you? No. Actually, let's do a poll. Do you think Mitch McConnell is dead? He's dead, right? He's like if he's not, or if he's not like, if he still has life signs, he's functionally brain dead at this point, right?
I think I can actually add a poll.
Let's put this up on Polymarket. What do you think the odds are that he's dead?
Or Kalshi. Kalshi's bigger in the US.
Is it?
Yeah.
I keep every time I go onto Twitter, an ad for Polymarket pops up, and I'm like, what are the odds that he's dead on Polymarket right now?
Maybe. But anyway, thank you for enjoying this episode of The Average. Well, watching. I don't know that you necessarily enjoyed it, but hopefully you're a little bit less average and a little bit more intelligent. Read the Constitution, kids. It's fun. It's also very short. Look, it's not a lot
Look at
in
that.
there.
Look how short it is.
Look how
You know,
short,
it's
short and concise, real easy. And
you
they
know,
got rid
while
of
you're
all the
educating yourself,
old timey words too. So,
all the old time words. Go out there and read the Bill of Rights, the Canadian Bill of Rights. It's like the Constitution, but different, but mostly the same. It's mostly the same stuff.
well, the Bill of Rights are in here. The first 10 amendments of the Constitution, baby.
Sorry, not the Bill of Rights. The Charter of Rights and Freedoms. That's what the Canadian
I
version
do
is.
need to read that actually because I never have, but I will.
Similar.
I will. And happy 250 America. Some of us celebrated in.
Happy belated 4th of July to all my American friends. I know your country's going through a weird time right now.
Hey, we're still in the World Cup, aren't we? Or did
No,
we
that
lose?
was it. that you lost. It was very funny. My truck driver this morning was like, when I was like, "Do you watch the World Cup?" And he was like, "No, I only watched America lose, and that was good enough for me."
Oh no, and now I can go back to believing that soccer is not a real sport.
Hey man, the
Oh
Canadians were.
shit! I'm so glad. Fuck, because I wanted to wait and tell you that this will be a perfect one to end on. So say your bit. I have to tell you the joke that my stepson made because holy fuck, I'm still
Oh,
laughing.
I was just gonna say, we're with Canada. We were in it, but we play on like a Special Olympics level. So
So okay, so we were actually talking about soccer, and then my stepson.
that's a bad joke because they're actually professional athletes. Sorry.
No, because my stepson, he wasn't. It wasn't a serious question. He was like, "So wait, am I an American citizen?" I'm like, "No, not yet, anyway." And he was like, "What? I'm an American. What's a kilometer?"
That's good. That's excellent. That's a solid joke.
Oh my god. He was like,
I
"I'm an
respect that.
American.
That's
What's a
good.
kilometer?" Like so much so
Excellent.
that I want it to be a fucking t-shirt,
That's actually, yes. Let's put on a shirt. Put it on a shirt.
just a big ass American flag, and it says, "What's a kilometer?"
What's a kilometer? Yeah, that's excellent. That is good. I like that.
I
That's
told him,
funny.
I said, "You know what? That was solid. That's a
It's
great joke."
layered. It would make a great shirt because you'd have to explain it to the occasional person, and that's what makes it funny.
It'd be a big hit in Canada though.
For sure, it would be a big hit in Canada. For sure, it would. You got to get that in the shop. Get it on get put it on a shirt.
Yeah, there's a couple shirts I need to get in there, but yeah, I think that's gonna be up there.
It's
Just like,
solid.
what's a kilometer?
You could totally sell it on Fourth of July. Excellent.
Dude, I'm still laughing because I thought about it earlier today and I'm like, what's a kilometer?
That's good. That's solid.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody. There's changes coming, but you'll see. Just subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow along. We're changing the format up a little bit, at least temporarily. So check us out. Check out the Final Frontier podcast at In Conjunction if you can make it. And I mean, you should just watch it anyway because I'm told that show's really funny.
It is funny. You should. Also, Spur of the Moment. I'm on Spur of the Moment
Spur of the
podcast
Moment
Sundays.
podcast as well.
I'm
Yeah,
on. I never plug myself when I'm on here because
also
why would I?
also really funny.
Those guys are pretty funny.
They're pretty funny, but also they have pretty good takes.
Oh, well, thank you.
I find I don't
I
often
think
disagree with you after I hear the full idea.
gotta hear the full thing.